I hadn't been to my mother's house in 3 months. 3 months since the funeral. 3 months since I had said goodbye to the woman who had given me life, who had shaped me into the person I am today. I couldn't face going back there, couldn't face the emptiness of her rooms, the silence of her absence. But today I had no choice. The estate sale was scheduled for next week, and I needed to go through her belongings, decide what to keep and what to let go. My mother had left her car in the garage, untouched since the day she died. It was a 2010 Honda Civic, practical and reliable, just like my mother. I had planned to donate it to charity, but first I needed to clean it out, remove any personal items. I opened the driver's side door and was immediately hit with the smell of stale air and something else, something alive. I froze. There was a sound coming from under the passenger seat, a soft mewing sound. My heart began to race. I bent down and peered under the seat, and there, huddled in the darkness, was a cat. It was a tabby and white cat, thin and clearly malnourished, with frightened green eyes that stared at me from the shadows. "Oh my God," I whispered. "How long have you been in here?" The cat didn't respond, just watched me with those wary eyes. I slowly reached under the seat, speaking in soft, soothing tones. "It's okay, sweetheart. I'm not going to hurt you. Come here." The cat hesitated for a moment, then slowly crawled toward me. As it emerged from under the seat, I could see that it was wearing a collar, a worn, faded collar with a tag attached. I gently picked up the cat, cradling it in my arms. It was so light, so fragile. I could feel its ribs through its thin fur. This poor creature had been trapped in this car for who knows how long. I looked at the tag, expecting to see a name and phone number. What I saw instead made my breath catch in my throat. The tag had my mother's handwriting on it, and it contained a message that would change everything. With trembling hands, I held the collar tag up to the light. The handwriting was unmistakably my mother's, the same careful, precise script that had filled countless birthday cards and letters throughout my life. The tag read, "My name is Whiskers. My owner's name is Sarah. Please take care of her. She needs a home. She needs love. She needs a second chance. Mom." I stood there, frozen, unable to process what I was reading. My mother had left a message on this cat's collar. My mother, who had died 3 months ago, had somehow arranged for this cat to be in her car, waiting for me to find it. But how was that possible? How could my mother have known that I would come to the car today? How could she have orchestrated this? I looked at the cat, Whiskers, and she looked back at me with those intelligent green eyes. She seemed to understand that something significant had just happened. I carried her into the house and set her down gently on the kitchen floor. She immediately went to the water bowl that was still sitting by the sink, left over from when my mother had lived here. She drank deeply, as if she hadn't had water in days. I found some canned cat food in the pantry. My mother must have bought it in preparation, and opened a can for Whiskers. She ate ravenously, as if she hadn't eaten in a long time. As I watched her eat, my mind was racing. How long had my mother been planning this? Had she known she was dying? Had she deliberately left this cat in her car, knowing that I would eventually come to clean it out? The questions swirled in my head, but I couldn't find any answers. All I knew was that my mother had left me a message, and that message was in the form of a cat that needed a home. I sat down at the kitchen table and began to cry. I cried for my mother, for the loss I was still grieving, but I also cried for the love that she had shown me, even in death. I cried because I finally understood that my mother had never really left me. She was still here, still taking care of me, still trying to guide me toward what I needed. After Whiskers had eaten and drunk her fill, I began to search my mother's house more carefully. If she had left a cat in her car with a message, there had to be more to the story. There had to be other clues, other messages. I went through her desk, her drawers, her closets. I found bills, documents, photographs, and then, in a drawer in her nightstand, I found an envelope with my name on it. Inside was a letter, written in my mother's handwriting, dated 3 weeks before she died. "My dearest Sarah," the letter began. "If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. I've left Whiskers in my car, hidden under the passenger seat, because I knew that eventually you would come to clean out the car, and when you did, you would find her. I've left her there because I want you to know that even though I'm gone, I'm still taking care of you. I'm still trying to guide you toward what you need. Whiskers came to me about 6 months ago. She was a stray, thin and frightened, with no home and no one to love her. I found her in my garden, and I brought her inside. I fed her, I cared for her, and slowly she began to trust me. She became my companion during the last months of my life when I was struggling with my illness. She would sit with me, purr, and somehow her presence made everything a little bit easier to bear. But I knew that I wouldn't be here much longer. I knew that I was running out of time, and I realized that Whiskers needed more than I could give her. She needed someone young, someone with energy, someone who could give her a full life. She needed you, Sarah. I've been watching you these past few years, and I've seen how lonely you've become. I've seen how you've withdrawn from the world, how you've stopped taking care of yourself. I've seen the sadness in your eyes, and I realize that what you need is not just a pet, but a purpose. You need someone, or in this case, something, that depends on you, that needs your love and care. Whiskers is that purpose. She is my final gift to you. I continued reading my mother's letter, tears streaming down my face. I know this might seem like a strange way to leave you a gift. I know you might be angry at me for putting Whiskers in my car, for orchestrating this discovery. But I did it because I love you, and because I know you better than anyone. I know that you would never accept a gift directly. I know that you would feel guilty, that you would try to give Whiskers away, that you would convince yourself that you don't deserve happiness. But if you find her the way I've arranged, if you discover her yourself, then maybe you'll understand that this is not a gift from me to you. This is a gift from the universe, a sign that you're meant to have her. Whiskers has already brought so much joy into my life. She has given me companionship when I was alone, comfort when I was afraid, purpose when I felt like my life was ending. I believe that she can do the same for you. I believe that she can help you heal from the grief that you're carrying, the loneliness that you're feeling. I believe that she can help you remember how to live, how to love, how to find joy in the simple things. I'm asking you to give her a chance. I'm asking you to open your heart to her, to let her into your life, to allow her to love you the way she has loved me. And in doing so, I believe that you will find healing. You will find purpose. You will find yourself again. I love you, Sarah. I will always love you. Even though I'm gone, my love for you will never die. It will live on in Whiskers, in the care you give her, in the love you share with her. Take care of her. Take care of yourself. And remember that you are never truly alone. I am always with you, Mom. I sat in my mother's house for a long time after reading the letter, unable to move, unable to think. Whiskers had finished eating and was now exploring the house, sniffing at furniture and doorways, getting a sense of her new surroundings. I watched her move through the rooms, and I felt something shift inside me. My mother was right. I had been lonely. I had been withdrawn. I had been so consumed by grief that I had forgotten how to live. And my mother, even in her final days, had been thinking about me. She had been planning how to help me, how to guide me toward healing. She had left me a gift that was both practical and deeply meaningful. Over the next few days, I made the decision to keep Whiskers. I took her to the veterinarian, who confirmed that she was healthy, just malnourished. The vet estimated that she was about 2 years old and that she had probably been astray for most of her life. I bought her food, toys, a bed, a litter box. I set up a space in my home where she could feel safe and loved. And slowly, Whiskers began to trust me. She began to purr when I petted her. She began to sleep on my bed at night. She began to follow me from room to room as if she didn't want to let me out of her sight. And as Whiskers began to heal, I began to heal as well. I started going out more, seeing friends, taking care of myself. I started to remember what it felt like to have purpose, to have someone depend on me. I started to remember what it felt like to love and be loved. My mother had been right. Whiskers was exactly what I needed. She was the gift that I didn't know I was waiting for. She was the bridge between my old life and my new life, between the grief I had been carrying and the healing I was beginning to experience. Every time I looked at Whiskers, I saw my mother's love. Every time she purred, I heard my mother's voice telling me that everything was going to be okay. Every time she rubbed her head against my hand, I felt my mother's embrace. My mother had found a way to take care of me, even after she was gone. 3 months after finding Whiskers, I realized that I had changed. I was no longer the woman who had been consumed by grief, who had withdrawn from the world, who had forgotten how to live. I was becoming someone new, someone stronger, someone more alive, someone who had rediscovered the capacity to love and be loved. Whiskers had become my constant companion. She would greet me at the door when I came home from work, would sit on my lap while I read, would sleep curled up against me at night. She had become not just a pet, but a friend, a confidant, a source of unconditional love. I had started a new job, one that I was passionate about. I had reconnected with old friends and made new ones. I had started taking care of myself again, exercising, eating well, sleeping properly. I had started to smile again, to laugh again, to feel joy again. And I knew that none of this would have happened without Whiskers, without my mother's final gift. I began to think about my mother differently. Instead of focusing on the loss, I started to focus on the love. Instead of dwelling on the fact that she was gone, I started to celebrate the fact that she had been here, that she had shaped me, that she had loved me so deeply, that she had orchestrated this beautiful gift even as she was dying. I started to understand that my mother's death was not the end of our relationship. It was a transformation. She had found a way to continue loving me, to continue guiding me, to continue taking care of me. And that love was more powerful than death. One day, I was sitting on my couch with Whiskers on my lap, and I decided to write a letter to my mother. I wrote about how much I missed her, how much I loved her, how grateful I was for everything she had done for me. I wrote about Whiskers, about how she had changed my life, about how she had helped me heal. I wrote about the woman I was becoming, the life I was building, the joy I was rediscovering. And when I finished writing, I felt a sense of peace that I hadn't felt since before my mother died. I felt like my mother could hear me, like she was proud of me, like she was celebrating my healing along with me. I decided to share my story with others. I started a blog, then a social media presence, telling the story of how I had found a stray cat in my mother's abandoned car and how that cat had changed my life. The response was overwhelming. People from all over the world reached out to me, sharing their own stories of loss and healing, of unexpected gifts from loved ones, of discovering meaning in the midst of grief. Some people told me that my story had inspired them to reach out to their own family members, to have conversations they had been putting off, to express love that had been left unsaid. Others told me that my story had helped them understand their own grief, had helped them see that loss doesn't have to be the end of a relationship, that love can transcend death. I received messages from people who had lost their mothers and had found comfort in my story, who had felt less alone in their grief. I received messages from people who had adopted stray animals and had experienced similar transformations in their own lives. My mother's final gift, which had seemed so mysterious and confusing at first, had become a source of healing not just for me, but for countless others. I realized that my mother's greatest gift to me wasn't just Whiskers, but the opportunity to help others through sharing our story. I realized that her love, which had seemed to end with her death, had actually continued on, had rippled out into the world, had touched the lives of people I would never meet. I thought about my mother, often during this time. I thought about how she had anticipated her own death, how she had prepared for the possibility that she wouldn't be there to take care of me. I thought about the courage it must have taken for her to plan this gift, to arrange for Whiskers to be in her car, to write those letters knowing that she might not be here to explain them. I thought about how much she must have loved me to do all of that, and I felt grateful. I felt grateful for her love, for her foresight, for her willingness to continue taking care of me even after she was gone. A year after finding Whiskers, I decided to do something special. I created a memorial to my mother, a space in my home dedicated to her memory. I hung photographs of her on the walls, displayed her favorite books on shelves, kept fresh flowers on a small table. And in the center of this memorial, I placed a photograph of Whiskers along with a copy of my mother's letter. I wanted to create a space where I could remember my mother, where I could feel her presence, where I could celebrate the love that she had shown me. I also started a foundation in my mother's name, dedicated to helping stray animals find homes. I used my own story as the foundation for the organization's mission, to help people understand that adopting a stray animal is not just about saving the animal's life, but about transforming your own life. I worked with local shelters and rescue organizations to place stray animals in loving homes. I help people understand that a pet is not just a responsibility, but a gift, a source of unconditional love, a companion on the journey of life. The foundation grew quickly. Within a year, we had helped place over 100 stray animals in loving homes. We had received countless stories from people whose lives had been transformed by adopting a stray animal, just as mine had been transformed by Whiskers. I realized that my mother's final wish had been even more profound than I had initially understood. She hadn't just wanted to help me. She had wanted to help countless others, to create a ripple effect of love and healing that would extend far beyond our own family. And through the foundation, through sharing our story, through helping others adopt stray animals, I was fulfilling that wish. I was honoring my mother's memory by continuing her work, by spreading her message of love and compassion to the world. Whiskers had become the symbol of this mission. She was the face of the foundation, the living embodiment of my mother's love. Every time someone saw Whiskers, every time they heard our story, they were reminded that love doesn't end with death, that gifts can come in unexpected forms, that healing is possible even in the midst of grief. As time went on, I began to understand the deeper meaning of my mother's final gift. It wasn't just about giving me a cat. It was about teaching me a lesson about life, about love, about the importance of taking care of ourselves and others. My mother had been trying to tell me something important, that we are never truly alone, that love transcends death, that the people we love continue to guide us and take care of us even after they're gone. She had been trying to tell me that I deserved happiness, that I deserved love, that I deserved to live a full and meaningful life. She had been trying to tell me that sometimes the greatest gifts come in unexpected forms, that we need to be open to receiving help, that we need to allow others to love us. And she had been trying to tell me that by taking care of others, by showing compassion and kindness, we heal ourselves. By caring for Whiskers, by giving her a home and a family, I had healed my own broken heart. By helping other stray animals find homes, by sharing my story with others, I had found purpose and meaning in my grief. My mother had understood all of this. She had known that I needed to learn these lessons, and she had found a way to teach them to me, even as she was dying. I began to see my mother's death not as an ending, but as a transformation. She had transformed from a physical presence in my life to a spiritual presence. She had transformed from someone who could only take care of me in person to someone who could take care of me in ways that were even more profound. She had transformed from a mother who could only love me while she was alive to a mother whose love would continue to guide me for the rest of my life. And Whiskers had been the vehicle for that transformation. Whiskers had been the bridge between my old life and my new life, between the grief I had been carrying and the healing I had found. Whiskers had been my mother's final message to me, that love never dies, that we are never truly alone, that the people we love continue to take care of us even after they're gone. As Whiskers grew older, she became more than just a pet to me. She became a symbol of my mother's love, a living reminder of the gift that my mother had given me. She became the face of my foundation, the ambassador for stray animals everywhere. People would recognize her from my social media posts, from the foundation's website, from the news stories that had been written about our journey. Whiskers had become famous in her own way, but more importantly, Whiskers had become a source of healing for countless people. I received letters from people who had adopted stray animals after hearing our story, who had experienced their own transformations, who had found healing and purpose through caring for a pet. I received letters from people who had lost loved ones and had found comfort in our story, who had understood that death doesn't have to be the end of a relationship. I received letters from people who had been struggling with depression and loneliness, who had found hope and connection through Whiskers' story. Whiskers had touched the lives of thousands of people, and she had done it simply by being herself, a loving, loyal, grateful companion who had been given a second chance at life. I often thought about the stray cat that my mother had found in her garden, the cat that had been thin and frightened and alone. I thought about how my mother had taken that cat in, had cared for her, had loved her. And I thought about how that act of kindness had set off a chain reaction that had transformed not just my life, but the lives of countless others. My mother had understood something fundamental about the human experience, that we are all connected, that our actions have consequences that ripple out into the world, that love is the most powerful force in the universe. She had understood that by taking care of a stray cat, she was not just saving that cat's life, she was creating an opportunity for healing, for transformation, for the spread of love and compassion throughout the world. And she had been right. Whiskers had become the catalyst for all of this. Whiskers had become my mother's legacy. Looking back on my journey with Whiskers, I realized that my mother had taught me so much through this final gift. She had taught me about the importance of taking care of ourselves and others. She had taught me that love doesn't end with death. She had taught me that sometimes the greatest gifts come in unexpected forms. She had taught me that we are never truly alone, that the people we love continue to guide us and take care of us even after they're gone. But most importantly, she had taught me about the power of second chances. Whiskers had been astray, unwanted, and alone. But my mother had seen potential in her. My mother had seen that Whiskers deserved a second chance at life, that she deserved to be loved and cared for. And by giving Whiskers that second chance, my mother had given me a second chance as well. She had given me the opportunity to heal, to grow, to become the person I was meant to be. I began to apply these lessons to my own life and to the lives of others. I started to see people the way my mother had seen Whiskers, as beings worthy of love and compassion, as beings deserving of second chances, as beings capable of transformation and healing. I started to understand that everyone has a story, that everyone has been hurt or broken in some way, that everyone deserves the opportunity to heal and grow. And I started to use my platform, my foundation, my story, to help others understand these lessons as well. I started to advocate for stray animals, not just because they deserved homes, but because they deserved second chances. I started to advocate for people who were struggling, who were lonely, who were grieving, because they too deserved second chances. I started to understand that my mother's final gift was not just about Whiskers, it was about teaching me how to live a life of compassion, a life of purpose, a life of love. It was about teaching me that we all have the power to transform the world, one act of kindness at a time. It was about teaching me that love is the most powerful force in the universe, and that it has the power to heal, to transform, to transcend even death itself. Today, as I sit with Whiskers on my lap, I feel a profound sense of gratitude. Gratitude for my mother, for her love, for her foresight, for her willingness to continue taking care of me even after she was gone. Gratitude for Whiskers, for her companionship, for her loyalty, for the joy she has brought into my life. Gratitude for the journey that we have been on together, for the healing that has come from it, for the lives that have been touched by our story. Whiskers is getting older now. She's no longer the thin, frightened stray that my mother found in her garden. She's a healthy, happy, well-loved cat who has brought joy to countless people. She has become a symbol of hope, a reminder that second chances are possible, a testament to the power of love and compassion. And I know that when Whiskers eventually passes away, she will leave behind a legacy that will continue to inspire and heal people for years to come. My mother's final gift has become so much more than I ever imagined it could be. It has become a movement, a mission, a way of life. It has become a testament to the power of love, to the importance of compassion, to the belief that we all deserve second chances. And it has become a bridge between my mother and me, a way for her to continue loving me, guiding me, taking care of me, even though she is no longer physically present in my life. I often think about what my mother would say if she could see me now. I think she would be proud. I think she would be happy that I have found healing, that I have found purpose, that I have found joy again. I think she would be grateful that Whiskers has brought so much love and light into the world. And I think she would be pleased that her final gift has become so much more than she ever anticipated. My mother's love continues to guide me every single day. It guides me in the decisions I make, in the way I treat others, in the way I live my life. And it will continue to guide me for the rest of my life, because love doesn't end with death. Love transcends death. Love is eternal. And my mother's love, expressed through Whiskers, through the foundation, through the countless lives that have been touched by our story, will continue to ripple out into the world, touching hearts, healing wounds, spreading compassion and kindness for generations to come. I am forever grateful for my mother's final gift. I am forever grateful for Whiskers. And I am forever grateful for the journey that we have been on together, a journey that has taught me the true meaning of love, the true power of compassion, and the true purpose of life.